21 properties, 50 to 75 transactions, over $10 million in combined portfolio and transactional volume in my first 5 years, while I still had my corporate job. Here's the part that people miss when they hear that number. I did not save 21 down payments. I made 3. And the other 18 doors were funded, at least in part, by capital that was already mine, sitting inside doors I already owned. Today, I'm showing you exactly how that works on your own doors, not mine. I don't just talk about the recycle step. I can prove my own file has cleared it over and over. Multiple settlement statements on file, real closing documents showing hundreds of thousands of dollars in documented cash received at closing. And on the lending side, my own company has funded over $2 million in real capital directly across clients, invoice per approval, every one of them paid. I watched this exact mechanism work both sides of the closing table. This is step 3 of the method I use. Get capital ready, buy right, recycle the capital. Today is entirely about the third step, and specifically about who this video is for. Somebody who already owns 2 to 5 doors, bought the first ones with their own money, and watched the portfolio go quiet the day the savings ran out. If that's you, the next 15 to 25 minutes are the most useful thing you'll watch about your own portfolio this year. There's a number sitting in your own portfolio right now that you probably never once treated as spendable capital because it doesn't show up as a number in your checking account. It shows up as a line on a deed. Today, I'm naming exactly how to find that number and exactly how to call it back into the game. Here's what we're covering. First, why equity behaves like real spendable capital, even though it never once feels that way. And I'll walk you through the exact mechanics of a cash out refinance. Second, why equity is really 2 different things that arrive 2 completely different ways and why that distinction matters. Third, 2 owners, same starting point, different next moves, so you can see exactly where the fork happens. Fourth, why disciplined owners specifically are the ones who leave the equity untouched the longest. Fifth, a portfolio-wide audit you can run on your own doors this week. Then I'm walking where this move actually came from in my own file. 3 doors to 21 and counting, and I'll close with where this breaks, because it does break. And anyone who tells you every door has equity worth pulling is lying to you. I'm not going to tell you your equity is spendable capital and expect you just to believe me. I'm going to walk you through the exact mechanics of how it converts. When you brought your first door with your own 20% down, you created a gap between what the property was worth and what you owed on it. From that day forward, 2 things worked on the gap without you doing anything else. Your tenant's rent paid down the loan balance a little more every month. And if the market cooperated, the property value moved too. Both of these things widened the same gap. That gap has a name and it's called equity. And it is sitting on your deed right now, whether you ever looked at it or not. Here's the part that makes it real instead of theoretical. A cash out refinance is a lender reappraising the property, confirming what is actually worth today, paying off your existing loan and handing you the difference. In a cash at closing, that's not a loan against thin air. It's a lender converting equity that already exists on paper into capital that exists in your hand, while a new tenant payment covers the new, larger loan. The capital was real before the refinance. The refinance is just the mechanism that makes it spendable. Here's where people flatten 2 different things into one word: equity, when it's actually 2 separate things that arrive through 2 completely different mechanisms. Paydown equity is the portion your tenant has quietly paid down on your loan balance month after month. It's slow, it's predictable, and it is about as close to guaranteed number as real estate gets, because it's just arithmetic on a loan schedule. Appreciation equity is the portion that came from the market valuing the property higher than what you paid. It's real once an appraisal confirms it, but it's not guaranteed the way paydown equity is. It depends on your market, your timing, and whether you bought right in the first place. Once a refinance happens, Both kinds of equities convert into the exact kind of cash at the closing table, but they don't arrive the same way. And treating them as identical before that closing is actually why some owners overestimate what a refinance will hand them, and others underestimate it. Knowing which kind of equity you're counting on tells you how confident to be in the number before you ever ordered an appraisal. I want to show you exactly where the fork happens. So picture two owners, no specific case, just a pattern I see over and over. Both bought their first 3 doors with their own 20% down. Both ran out of that saved cash at the exact same point, door 3. The first owner does what feels responsible. He waits. He keeps saving. The same way he saved for the first 3 down payments, because that's the only playbook he's ever used. The equity already sitting in the door, 1 through 3, stays exactly where it is, untouched, earning nothing beyond what the tenant is already quietly paying down. The second owner runs a different diagnostic. He looks at the doors, 1 through 3, checks what each one is worth today against what is still owed, and finds out that one of them has real usable equity sitting inside of it. He refinances that door, pulls the equity back out at closing, uses it as a down payment on door 4, while the tenant in the refinance door keeps carrying the new debt. Same 3 doors, same dried up savings. One owner is waiting for new capital to arrive. The other one already has it and just called it back into the game. Here's the part that surprised me the first time I saw it happen in someone else's portfolio, not just my own. It's not the careless owners who leave equity sitting untouched the longest. It's the disciplined ones. I did everything right and I ran out of money at door 3. Is a sentence I hear constantly, and I understand exactly why it feels true. The instinct that got someone to door 3 in the first place: save carefully, don't touch the cushion, only spend money you can see in the account. It's the same exact instinct that now tells them that equity is off limits. It doesn't feel like capital. It feels like the safety the property represents. But that equity isn't your family's safety net sitting in a savings account. It's capital you already built once through the exact discipline that got you to door 3, now sitting idle in a wall instead of doing what it was built to do. Pulling it back out isn't undoing the discipline, it's the payoff for it. You don't need to talk to me to run this one, and you don't need to run it on just one door. Pull up every property you currently own and run the same 3 questions against each one. First, what would the property appraise for the day? A local agent can give you a rough number for free, or check what comparable homes near you have actually sold for recently. Second, what do you still owe on it? Third, has it been held long enough to meet your lender's seasoning requirement for a cash out refinance? That requirement varies by lender, so check yours directly. Rank your doors by the gap between what they're worth and what's owed, and by how long you held each one. That ranking tells you which door, if any, actually has usable, accessible equity sitting in it right now. Instead of guessing at your portfolio as one blurry hole, that ranking tells you which door, if any, actually has usable, accessible equity sitting in it right now, instead of guessing at your portfolio as one blurry hole. So let me walk you through where I actually learned this, because I didn't start out running this diagnostic on purpose either. I ran out of money at door 3, the same place a lot of disciplined savers run out. I had 2 options at that point: wait and save again, or look at what I already owned differently. What I already owned by then had tenants paying down debt, and on some of it, real appreciation sitting quietly on the deed. I ran the same diagnostic I just walked you through, found the doors with real usable equity, and pulled it back out at closing instead of waiting to save a 4th down payment from scratch. That's not a one-time trick. It's the same recycle step, run again and again, that turned 3 doors into 21 and counting. With 21 separate down payments, and it's provable, not just a story. Multiple settlement statements, hundreds of thousands of dollars in documented cash received at closing, across sales, refinances personally from my own file. The math didn't change between door 4 to 21. I just stopped waiting for new capital and started calling back the capital I already had. This does not work on every door. A property has to have actual appreciated or have been paid down enough to have real equity. And it has to meet your lender seasoning requirement before a cash out refinance is even on the table. Some doors, especially ones bought recently or in a flat market, simply won't have much pull yet, and pretending otherwise doesn't change the appraisal. This is why the distressed properties purchase works so much better when you use this method, because you force the appreciation. It also doesn't remove the underwriting step. Pulling equity out still means qualifying for a new, larger loan on that property. Real income, real credit, a real file. This move doesn't replace being fundable. It depends on it. And rates may matter to some. Refinancing can mean trading a lower old rate for a higher new one, depending on where rates sit when you do it. That's a real cost against the capital you're freeing up, and it's worth running the actual numbers on your specific loan before assuming the math automatically favors the refinance. This move recycles capital. It doesn't erase math. Near the top, the promise was find a number sitting in your own portfolio that you never treated as spendable. You now know the 3-question audit and can run it across every door you own today. At the beginning of this video, the promise was for you to find a number sitting in your own portfolio. You never thought about it as spendable capital. Now, as we fast forward through this you now know the 3-question audit you can run across at every door you own today. If that landed, say it so plainly. This video just moved the belief it promised. What you can do next if you want to evaluate your own properties. Most county assessor sites and several major listing sites publish one. So here's where this leaves you. The capital for your next door likely isn't somewhere out there waiting to be saved. It's probably already sitting in your door you own, quietly building while you assume the well was dry. What did we cover today is what happens the moment the capital is back in your hand. Because pulling it out doesn't automatically mean a lender approves you what to do with it next. That comes down to the exact order a lender reads your file in, which is already covered in full, in same cash, same buyer profile, 2 different offers.